One's ready. Go!
What's up, everybody? Aaron back from One's Ready. I got something special for you today. So you guys have been tracking the Guardian Grit, One's Ready, Taylor Starch, Avengers team that's getting together and doing these operator training summits. Remember, the next one is coming up in June, second weekend of June. We're looking at San Diego. More info will come out very shortly on that. But it's not just swimming, it's not just running, it's not just rucking, it's not just cows, it's not just WaterCon. We're trying to give you a holistic approach to get you to where you need to be selected. We know that the Special Warfare Assessment Selection is a holistic attributes-based selection program. Yes, it's highly physical, but they're looking at those 9 other attributes inside of the SOF architecture that we are trying to see you present. Well, you may be thinking to yourself, how do I do that? Don't worry. We got you. So what you're about to listen to is a short 30-minute class. It's only a 30-minute video, but sometimes we expand this class if we have a lot of questions. We were just kind of crunched on time in this one. But it's a short class given by yours truly on not only what the attributes are, but how it is that you can make yourself better at these attributes every single day, how it is to project these attributes to make sure that the instructors see you are who you are with your true and transparent self. And as always, if you got weaknesses in your game, this is a roadmap on how to make those better. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please leave your comments in the section, in the comment section. Let us know if you have questions, especially for me to clarify something that I had said or whatever. But it would be great to hear your opinion on these attributes and how to make it better for the next class. This is something that we're going to include every single time because, again, it doesn't matter if you're a physical specimen. If you don't have that mental piece locked down, because we know selection and assessment is 80% mental, 20% physical, man, you need to get that mental right. So I hope you guys enjoy this attributes class or this attributes discussion. Again, leave your questions, your comments, your gripes, your concerns in the comment section. Let me know what we should make better. Hope you like it. Yeah, so again, basics, you guys have this. I just put it on the group chat, so you have this. This is a vetted product from the Special Warfare Training Wing, so you guys have the entire thing. Feel free to follow along here, but we're gonna go through them, right? So what we do is we evaluate the holistic airman. Everybody in Special Warfare focuses on those initial fitness test skills and how good are you at being a physical specimen. That's only one of 9 attributes that we actually look at, right? We're looking at you as a whole person. You can be the world's best CrossFitter, amazing endurance athlete, you can do crazy stuff in the pool, but if you're toxic in the team room and people don't want to live with you in a small room for a 6-month deployment, seeing you day in, day out, every single day for 24 hours a day, you're not going to go in the team room, okay? So we look at these attributes and there's a healthy dose of professional subjectivity that we are allowed to use inside of the pipeline. The difference between professional subjectivity and objectivity is can you do 8 pull-ups or not? Professional subjectivity is a subject matter expert standing below you at the pull-up bar looking up and going, okay, that was not to the correct standard, they didn't achieve a full dead hang, I'm not going to count that rep. Professional subjectivity plays a huge part in looking at these attributes, and it can be confusing, right? When we talk about these attributes like communication and teamwork and grit and determination and all these other things that we're going to look at, those 9 attributes, the overwhelming question is, well, how do I present that in a true and authentic way to my instructors, right? If I showed you, like, tell me how do you show an instructor that you have good teamwork? And it's a rhetorical question, right? But you immediately, how do I show an instructor that I have integrity? How do I show an instructor that I have grit? And we're going to start from very low because these are very high. I mean, there's a million leadership books. There's a million different, things that are out there of people that talk about these attributes. And they talk about it in these high-minded ways. And then the thing that you never get, it's like step 1, like remember the South Park underwear gnomes? Step 1, we steal the underwear. Step 2, we get the gnomes on things. Step 3, I don't know. Step 4, profit, right? Step 3, when they're like, oh yeah, you have to have these attributes, where you're like, yeah, but how? How do I do that? How do I present that in a manner that is authentic? People know that it's my true self and that I'm presenting the best possible thing forward. And that's what we're going to focus on here. We're going to bring it all the way down to a grassroots level. You guys have this on your phones already, so feel free to go ahead and check it out. I'm going to set my timer here because I'm on a timeline. I'm going to set this for 28 minutes. We're going to be done before that clock goes off in 28 minutes, I promise you. The first attribute we're going to talk about is communication. Okay? Communication is the #1 breakdown in any AAR. Since the history of time, you will have a 30 to 50-minute conversation about how communication broke down as something that you need to make better. That conversation is wasted time because we say it as this buzzword. We're like, well, I could have communicated better. Okay, well, what does that mean? When I communicate something to you and you don't understand, who's at fault?
The person sending the message. The receiver is never at fault for the communication. We saw it yesterday in the pool. If I couldn't figure out a way to explain it to you, I would go grab another instructor and be like, this guy's just not getting it. I'm explaining it incorrectly. We saw it yesterday from every single one of your instructors. You guys thought that you were doing underwaters the complete and total correct way the entire time. And I bet for everybody yesterday, they learned at least one thing that they were like, I did not understand that. The person that taught you that communicated to you those things did not communicate it in a way that you internalized and then had educational outputs. That means you took the communication in and you understood it. We want you to be able to communicate with your team. But what does that communication look like? For me, when I speak in a tactical environment, even at a student level, I speak in 5 W's. I'm clear with my process, my guidance, and my intent. I have a habit of over-talking where I'll re-explain something like 3 times even though you get it. And I have to know that about myself, because when I communicate, I want the least amount of words to do the most amount of good in the shortest amount of time that satisfies my intent. It can sound as simple as, hey everybody, we're packing up, we're gonna go to this next park, here's the place that you're going, does anybody have any questions? We made a whole movement of 40 people and all of their gear and equipment, and we moved over here in the quickest amount of time possible because that's how we communicated that movement to you. If you put that in the pipeline scenario, people get all wrapped up about how do I communicate, how do I boil down my thoughts and present them. Like everything else. Who was I talking to about checklists last night? About looking through a checklist. This is a great example of that. If you think that I've ever given a mission brief, I've given a lot of mission briefs and a lot of high stress scenarios, like in front of multiple 2-star generals. You know, my very first deployment, I was an E5, brand new PJ, and they had me stand up, and if you guys want to be really cool, you don't call it. So that's, when you're on the internet, be like, oh, you're still using a word that's 8 years old. So I stood up in front of like 6 sergeant majors. I literally stepped into the room and they were like, oh, sergeant major, sergeant major, sergeant major, sergeant major, master sergeant, sergeant major. This is Aaron. He's your PJ team rep. He's in charge of the CSAR plan. He's going to brief it. If you think I didn't have my checklist open, going point by point to make sure that I hit everything, I communicated clearly, you are insane. If you try to communicate like that without an adjunct, you are going to fail in your communication. And the breakdown happens immediately and sometimes hilariously so. Being an instructor is one of the hardest things in the world because you have to instruct students. If Jared, Peaches, Peaches, Trent, Chris, and myself, if we had to do a very high-level task, Peaches could give up the minimum amount of intent to say, what are we trying to do? And Trent and I wouldn't need anything else because we can assume all of those implied tasks underneath what he's saying. I want to go kill a drug dealer that we found in Las Vegas. We're leaving in 25 minutes. I'm like, well, weapons, ammo, self-protection, gotta have cover. I'm gonna leave my phone at the house so they can't track my cell phone. We need to know where these guys are. Do we have pictures of the house? What are we gonna do when we get in? How many people can we expect? I know all of those things intimately in my head. When you are at your level, no one else knows those things intimately at your head. I've instructed students where I'm like, I wanna move the CCP, I wanna move it 10 meters. That means you gotta take all your patients and all your rucks and all your weapons, and I just want you to move 10 meters over here because we're gonna move a CCP. I turned around and dudes had lost their shoes. One guy didn't have his helmet on. Another guy was literally sitting down eating. I was like, what the heck is going on, guys? Now, whose fault in communication was that? It was mine. Because the biggest barrier to your communication is assuming or projecting that other people understand things in a way that you do. It is on you as a communicator to figure out how to convey that information to people in a way that they understand. I had a terrible run-in with a wing commander. It was really funny, actually, because I told him he was wrong to his face in front of people, and apparently no one had ever done that before, but I could give a single shit about his feelings. Where I said, hey, the way that you communicated this, we were unsure of what your intent was. He's like, well, no, I can pull the email up. And I was like, oh, no, we have the email. It was unclear, and the people that received it were unclear of your guidance, intent, and end state. You have to work on this. It's hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft. I was telling him last night, I've walked into a room at Baltimore Shock Trauma with the smartest trauma surgeons in the history of the planet looking at me, a paramedic student that was on a rotation. I was a PJ for a long time. But I walked in there and literally one guy was like, hey, shut up, turnover. And then everybody looked at me. And it was on me to communicate in a life and death scenario exactly what my patient needed in front of people that were far superior to me. If you don't think I worked on that, if you didn't think I referred to my notes, if you didn't think that I actually tried to get better as a communicator up until that moment, you're crazy. But we're going to expect you to do that under high stress environments, things that can prevent you from being a communicator. The way that you talk, the way that you present information, sure, you can get better at that. But when we start talking about you're running a marathon back-to-back for 7 days, you think that's gonna make you tired? You think it's gonna make you short and chippy and upset at your friends? And when you're in charge and they're not listening to you, do you think that's gonna provide more barriers to communication? Do you think your interpersonal relationship with people are gonna put up barriers to your communication no matter how good you say something, no matter how good you do, no one will stand up and clap for you? 100% it will. And just like running, just like physical exercise, we expect you to communicate. Now, what I will tell you is that we're not expecting you to be world-class communicators. But you should be able to get the heat mitt gear, get on a bus, get over to the pool, and have the pool set up because you know how to do that. Somebody should be able to communicate that to a level where we can actually make it happen, okay? As we move on through the attributes, we got to drive. Drive, as we see on the spreadsheet here, it continues trying even under adverse conditions and or failure, will not quit. I can give you a million examples. Jason Cunningham was killed by a shot that hit just under in Tucker guard, just under his plate on his right kidney. Jason Cunningham was treating people and directing care all the way up until he died. And his last words were, "I can't believe they fucking got me." That is grit. John Chapman fought like a lion on top of that mountain after the SEALs left him. That is grit. Grit for you guys might be as simple as, I'm going to pop on this buddy breathing thing, but the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn my head back towards that snorkel and I'm gonna re-engage in this scenario. People look at grit and they're like, well, I'll never be that lion of a man, John Chapman or Jason Cunningham or some of these, Rob Gutierrez, shot through the chest, still calling in close and accurate fire at danger close, and he saved his entire team, should have got the Medal of Honor for it. I can never be like that. You're right. But those dudes went through the pipeline. And what their grit looked like is, I don't give a single shit what happens on this underwater. I am not popping. Because it's not an underwater. It's me telling you as your instructor, I need to see that you have the grit, that no matter how scared you are, you think you're gonna die. If I need you to close 15 meters across this courtyard and shoot somebody that just threw grenades at you and your friend, like Ivan Ruiz did, he got the Air Force Cross for it, I need to make sure that at 7 meters you don't turn back. You can develop this every day. You can develop this by not hitting snooze. You can develop this by going out on a 4-mile run and not quitting it too. You can do this by re-engaging in a training event. I don't give a shit if you fail. You're supposed to. We're gonna make you fail. It's the Kobayashi Maru. The entire pipeline is you failing for 2 solid years, and then we give you a beret, and then we call you a piece of shit and tell you to take the trash out. That's what the pipeline is. And then for years you have imposter syndrome and you don't know if you're gonna pass. But the guys that make it there and that put that beret on their head and then continue to be good special operators, it's because every day they wake up and they don't hit snooze on their alarm and they make their bed and they go to the gym. Whether they're tired, whether they're motivated, whether they feel good, whether they're having family problems, you shut up, you go lift the weight, you study your materials, and you're there for other people when they need them. That's what grit is. You need to find ways to develop your grit at whatever level it is that you have, whether it's getting up and getting a new habit or stopping drinking or doing things that, stop focusing on things that don't matter and really being disciplined. Okay, grit and discipline go hand in hand. However it is that you need to develop that grit, you need to have an unshakable, unwaverable mindset that if you tell me you need me to do a thing, I'm going to do the thing. I loved being a PJ, it was amazing. But I loved it because if somebody called me and said that some American or one of our allies was hurt and they sent me on a mission, I will fucking die before I let you go in enemy hands. If I lose a team member on that op, I'm gonna mark him with a 10-digit grid, bury him in a shallow grave, I'm gonna say my words and cry my tears, and then I'm gonna bring that American home. That's what we do. I need people that do that. And it's hyperbolic to put it in a wartime scenarios, and you guys all wanna talk about special warfare assessment and selection. You can do it every day. People ask us all the time, how do you develop grit? You do what you say you're gonna do. Later in your career, it's gonna be, I am going to deploy to combat environments and get in gunfights with people that mean to kill me and take me away from my family, and I'm going to come home and then I'm gonna joke about it in a bar later. I don't know how you guys get to that why, but that's where you need to be, because that's what we're asking you to do. It's easy to put on a soda straw and go, okay, well, you just need me to buddy breathe. That's developing grit. When I see you re-engage in a scenario, I said it to a bunch of people yesterday. Raise your hand if I said, hey, I don't give a shit that you failed. I saw you turn back into the snorkel, that was a good thing. You know why? Because I truly believe that. I don't give a shit that you failed. I'm gonna make you fail. I can make everybody here fail at buddy breathing. I can crush you in the pool. You will quit. You will get out of the, I can put you to a place of such stress that you will get out of the pool and you will quit. But if I see you turn back towards that snorkel, knowing that I can do that, that's what grit is. Going on, we get down to integrity. Integrity is doing the right thing, even when no one else is watching. Bastion, I shut down the Bastion unit in 2012. In 2012, we would fly out, and guys would typically have ketamine in their pocket, preloaded syringe, and that's also where you kept your sensitive items, being your blood shit. My dudes ran out. We had to launch within 8 minutes. We got on board the aircraft. I had a very weird knock at my door because we basically split shifts. So I would see half the team each day. So I didn't work with both teams all day, and then my officer would work with half the teams on each of their day too. So we saw everybody every single day. I get a knock on the door. It's a young PJ on his first deployment. He's like, "Listen, man, we were taking off and I had my top off because I was in the gym and I had to run to the helicopter. I shoved it in there. We took off. I went to put my top on. It blew out. My blood shit, my ketamine are gone." He didn't have to tell me that. I wasn't on his airplane. The bros would have covered for him. They'd have been like, "Well, it's just a top." He could have kept it to himself that he had ketamine in there. And his blood shit, which is a controlled item. That's integrity. Integrity is as easy as not stealing Uncrusties from the team that you're not on. Integrity is standing up and going, "All right, man, this is my bad. I'm going to own up to this one, even though that I don't have to. I'm going to own up to this." But the way that you project integrity is you have those little things, time in and time out, where people know that you are going to speak truth and that you are going to say the thing that is uncomfortable. Say the weird thing from the internet, right? Sometimes the weird thing is, "Hey guys, I'm going to pay a penalty with you on this one, but it was me that fucked things up." Because you have credibility in your bank. People talk about like building your credibility. You can build that up to any number. One fuck up on your integrity and you're done. That bank is zeroed out, and it's probably negative at that point. It's something that you cannot miss. There's a lot of conversations here in the gray area where we can talk about nuance, and we can talk about, when do you follow rules, when do you not follow rules, right? Like we had a great talk last time about a gray area where integrity was, and the answer that I gave to the guy is like, "Oh, okay, so you never broken the speed limit, right?" Okay, so we agree that some people don't follow rules, and that's not necessarily what we're talking about with integrity, right? We all do things. Americans commit 3 felonies every single day, right? But we have to decide what's important. We have to decide when it's my name. The only thing that you get to keep when you go in the military, they give you a uniform, they give you the badges you're gonna wear. The only thing that you keep is your name. I will be damned if somebody can say Aaron Love is a liar, even if it harms me. Even if I did something so heinous that they take everything away from me. If I did it and it's true, you gotta own it. And you can do that every single day in NDOC, or Special Warfare Assessment Selection. You just have to know where your line is. And then you have to be brave enough to stand up to that line. The next one we're going to talk about here briefly is problem solving. Pretty obvious here. This dovetails in, like a lot of these things, you think about it as like these individual buckets. They're not. It's a Venn diagram. All of these things play into one another in large parts. They flow into each other's lanes and out of it. Sometimes they're separate, sometimes they're together. Problem solving is all communication. If I give you a really hard problem to solve, if you can't communicate, you're not going to solve the problem, right? So these things play off of one another. They help one another. Sometimes they're a detriment to one another in some cases. Problem solving is the simple ability to orient to a situation, find the best possible solution for the most possible people on your team that's not dumb, immoral, unethical, and you're going to go do it. Okay? That's all problem solving is. What situation? When I do mission planning with young PJs, I will literally take it all the way back to bare bones. It's easy to walk in and be like, "Oh, we got this thing, fuck, whatever," and then have the guy mission plan, right? I will literally put a pause on that guy as he starts talking, and I'll go, "What is this? Is it a rescue? Are people dying and they need us? Or is it a recovery?" Because if I'm just picking up dead people, I'm not going to risk my team's lives to pick up dead people. I will risk my team's lives to pick up alive people. But if you never get to the bare bones of problem solving, take yourself out, look at it from a macro view, and go, "No kidding, what am I being asked to do?" You can look at this in the pipeline as the instructor's going to tell you things that you may not understand step 1 through step 8, but step 10 is his intent. He may just give you step 10. I want you and your team to pack everything up with all of your gear and move over here wearing these clothes in this timeline to be ready for the next event. You don't need to know what the event is. You don't need to know what anything that is. Your problem solving is, what am I tasked to do? Okay, I'm tasked to move this entire team and all of our equipment. I have to be dressed in this clothes, and I know the timeline, so I can start planning. What am I being asked to do? If you just start off with that one simple trick makes the cadre hate him. If you start off with one simple trick and just go, "What is this? What am I being asked to do?" Right? Now for us at our end, Trent could come to me and go, "Aaron, 15 car pileup and it's right in front of us, we gotta pull over." Immediately in my head, I'm like, mass casualty, I need to set this up, I need to stop the dying of the people that are dying, there are gonna be people that are dead, they don't get any treatment, then I got walking wounded, I gotta keep them away, then I can't let them see, I go through my entire mission planning process in my head. You guys aren't there. But I start that same process by going, What is this? And then you start problem solving from there, and it's on you to communicate that with your team. Physical fitness is a no-brainer, right? Physical fitness is the act and ability to perform and excel in physical activity during demanding tasks, lifestyle, nutrition, full body care, enlightenment through suffering. Suffering is good. You grow through trauma. When you lift, what happens to your muscles? And then what happens? You are a wad of clay. By the time you graduate Special Warfare Assessment and Selection, you are made out of balsa wood because of the trauma that we put you through, because of these things that we ask you to do and grow from. Physical fitness, we always say that you have 100% of attention that you can give to anything. If 90% of your attention is because you are smoked and you're afraid of failing the next event and you can't communicate appropriately, that ain't enough bandwidth, homie. That is your physical fitness taking away from all of your other attributes. You're tired, you're sore, you're possibly injured, not hurt, you're not injured. You don't know how to communicate with your team. All of those things are putting up barriers where if you just had a time machine, remember in Bill and Ted, yeah, this is too old. So Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, they get through a weird time zone or time travel scenario where they could just speak things into existence. They'll be like, well, cool, I got a time machine. So after this talk, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back 6 months and I'm gonna put this thing right here. And the guy's like, oh, I got a gun now. You know what I mean? You don't have a time machine, homie. You're not Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. You have to start now. You have to prepare yourself for that moment. I don't give a shit what your IFTR numbers are right now. That is the pay to play to get it in the pipeline. I need you at a point where you are taxed physically to 100% that you've got the bandwidth to engage in these other attributes. Because when that physical fitness starts falling apart, it's easy for me to start just finding little chinks in your armor. Super easy. I'm like, oh, he gets frustrated when he communicates. Great, you're the team leader now. Oh, wow, he's got bad interpersonal relationships and those are bubbling up because he's tired and he's short with his teammates. Tight, you're gonna lead this small group exercise. None of your other teammates can talk too. I'm just gonna read their facial expressions. That's where professional subjectivity plays in, and that's where we will put you in a scenario where we tax you physically and then see how you respond mentally. Because you can't be the guy, again, like when you deploy, you literally will go to a tent in some far-flung place on the face of the planet. You'll put up plywood in between your tent. Sometimes you'll have a ceiling, sometimes you won't. And the people that you work with 12 hours a day on your 12 hours on, 12 hours off will share a piece of plywood and you'll hear them talking to their wife at night as they go to sleep. Imagine a toxic person in that team room that doesn't value physical fitness, that gets stressed under high stress situations, that gets overcome by events, or OBE. You understand how that can be toxic to a team room, right? It's rooted in your physical fitness. It's not just being able to crush the IFT. It's having bandwidth to deal with these things when you're stressed out later. Stress tolerance fits in perfectly with this. We need you to not be stressed. When I get into stressful situations, one of the best pieces of feedback I ever got was from a fantastic, 18 deployments out of the Tier 1 unit. He's done things that would blow your mind for any special operator, not just a PJ. He told me in one training event early as a PJ, he was like, listen, man, you're orienting the problems, all of your communication is great, but you sound like you're stressed. Calm breeds calm. When I get into stressful situations now, I hear that man's words in my head, and when I go to make a radio call, I think to myself, calm breeds calm. Anytime I treat a patient, I look, where's my sinus guy from yesterday? The guy that had the sinus issue. Bloody, is he gone? Okay. Yeah, I got it. So when I looked at you and I said, hey man, this isn't my worried face. If I look like I'm worried, let's start worrying. I say that to every single patient. Number one, because it's not my emergency. That guy's hurt, I'm not hurt. But number two, because calm breeds calm. If I look at him and I'm like, listen man, I know things are bad, but I got it. I was like, I'm not gonna be worried about this. I fucking got you. That's me in a stressful, and by the way, internally I'm freaking out. What if I do something wrong? What if this guy dies? I've got a million ghosts behind me that talk to me of guys that I've lost that are like, oh, you're gonna lose this one too. I have to be able to deal with that. And most importantly, I have to project calmness. You have to look at me and you have to bring me the worst possible scenario. And just like Jocko, I look at you and go, good. Fine, it's fine. We took a hit, we've got injuries, fine. We can still move, we can still fight. All right, now we can't move and we can't fight. Fine, we can defend this position. We're losing patients. Okay, then we gotta do the best for the patients that we can save. That's stress tolerance. For you, in the heat of the moment, and in the heat of that time where you feel like you're gonna break, you need to be able to look at your teammate and go, this fucking sucks. You know what Peaches does in the times of the highest stress, and I can tell you this from being in very stressful situations with Peaches? He just laughs. He'll look at you and be like, oh, this is fucked up. We jumped into a frozen lake in Norway. We broke trail through waist-deep snow up like 4 different terrain features to try to rescue a guy. They literally hung over a mountain. One of the hardest movements of my life. Peaches was trying to break trail. It was waist-deep for us, which means it was shoulder-deep for Peaches. He tried to get up there and break trail for everybody, and he made it like 400 meters up this hill, and he just turned around and he's like, I'm so fucking smoked. That's stress tolerance. That's in that moment of levity, being able to bring yourself out of that internally focused position and externally focus on projecting calm. You can do this by physically smoking yourself and just smiling. You can't get out of it, might as well get into it. You might as well have a good attitude. Calm breeds calm. Teamwork is always one that's tough because I'll tell you it's an individually evaluated course. I think I said this yesterday. It's an individually evaluated course. If I do 17 pull-ups and you do 7 pull-ups, I cannot give you 6 of my pull-ups because that's what true teamwork is. So how do we project teamwork? Teamwork is taking the focus of center away from yourself and putting it on something bigger than you, being the team. It's not walking past the trash can that needs to be taken out. Somebody else will get it. No, you'll get it. No one else is going to make your bed. No one else is going to hold your hand. No one else is going to carry that heavy gear. When you see a team turn the corner, and this happens everywhere in the pipeline, and it makes our instructor hearts happy. When you see a team that is getting ready to do something, and there's the shittiest task, you guys got to carry the log. We can only fit 6 people on it. When you see 20 people show up at the log and start arguing with each other about, no, you carried it yesterday, and you got a heavy ruck, and you got the heat mid-gear, thank God they get it. Because in the early parts, it's a whole lot of people like, I don't know who's going to carry that log, dog. Seems heavy to me. That's not teamwork. That's not how you project teamwork. When you care about yourselves and the mission, when you care about yourselves more than you care about the mission and what your what your teammates are doing, that is not teamwork. That is you focusing on yourself, and most of the time it presents an attention-seeking behavior. Oh, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be the guy that carries it. Your best teammates out there are the ones that will not only give you the shirt off their back, they'll find you another shirt because you should have 2, and they don't need one. They'll be fine. Trainability, and we end on this one for a reason. So trainability presents itself in a ton of different ways. I am of the mindset, and we had conversations about this last night, you've heard it a million times, the things we want you to do inside of these special warfare pipelines is I want to show me that you're trainable. How do you show me that you're trainable, right? I want you to take information and feedback that I'm giving you, and if it's true and valid feedback, I want to see the output of what I just told you. What trainability doesn't look like is, hey man, you keep trying to tread by just kicking your left foot out there and you continue to do it and it's not doing anything. And I see you over and over and over again, not even trying to put your foot to the side of the pool to grab the water in the way that you're supposed to, rotating your legs internally, pulling your heels towards your butt at the center line of your crotch. Trainability is when I ask you, don't call me sir, and you call me sir 5 times in a row, it means you disregarded my input. And what you did is you made an excuse, but like, oh, sorry, I grew up in the South, I call everybody sir. Okay, I'm asking you to do a new thing and I need to see you do that new thing. That's what we do the entire pipeline. It's why I am very resistant to people that are like, oh, I want to start learning JTAC stuff. How about you get selected first? It's a 91% attrition rate. Oh, I think learning anatomy and physiology is really going to help me out. Oh, that's going to help you out during durability phase of the Special Warfare Assessment and Selection Pipeline? I didn't know they did that there. I didn't know that was a graded event. Oh, I'm going to start learning that phraseology and talk on the radio. Would it do me good to be an EMTP? There is value in putting you in a scenario that you have not oriented to yourself before and then watching you crush it. We do paramedic faster than everybody else in the nation. You go from 0 to hero in about 7 months. That includes your clinical time. To nationally registered paramedic, you will take a test on Monday for weird populations of people, old people, kids, young people, people with weird disease processes that you're never going to see in trauma or combat. And then on Friday, we'll ask you to take the cardiology test, and if you fail either one of those, you're out. There is value on seeing you orient to these new tasks like dive and free fall and airborne and SEER and being a sponge and then being able to apply that on the output. When the instructors tell you to do something, everything has a reason. I can tell you every reason that we do every single rep of every single exercise that we do because it directly correlates to a given task that you are going to find when you get to your actual job. The entire CFETP, Career Field Education and Training Plans, are derived from real world tasks that we expect you to do. It's not just doing a med assessment and being able to do a med assessment from head to toe and not miss an injury. It's because later in your life, you are going to have a wound that is smaller than the tip of your pinky, hidden under somebody's waistband that is killing them, and if you don't find them, they'll die, and I lost that patient. Because that's how small a 5.56 round is. The things that we're asking you to do, we need you to be trainable. We need you to take in new information, and not just take in new information, we need you to take it in, orient to it, and then provide me the output that I want to see. That is what trainability is. It's a lot of managing your own ego. You don't know better than the instructors. The instructors are wrong, they're fallible, they're human people. Sometimes they can give you wacky, we're not the best communicators sometimes. There are people that go to be instructors, and the only reason they're going there is they want to break from deployment and they want to have a more foreseeable schedule, right? I can tell you exactly what your day is going to look like 6 months from now with the Special Warfare Assessment Selection course. It's the way we build the course. I can tell you who's instructing, I can tell you who's going to be there, who's going to be at school, all this other stuff. We need the outputs from what we're giving you, even if you don't understand what it is that we're getting at. We need you to trust the process and do the work. And the number one way that you can be more trainable, literally right now walking out of here, is you can kill your ego. My daughter Anna, when she was 5 years old, she's a super smart kid. She's in law school now. She is better than I will ever be. When she was 5, she would do what we called barguing, where she would bargain with you to try to get her way and then argue with her about a clear task that she set out in front of you. All of you do barguing in one form or another. Hey Taylor, how many miles should I run a week? Well, you gotta run fucking 60 miles a week, dude, to prepare yourself. Okay, well listen. So I'm doing a lot of other stuff, right? And I'm really finding my run times are going down and I think I'm doing whatever. You're looking at a subject matter expert whose bona fides are unassailable, and you're telling him how he's wrong. Students do this in the pipeline every day, every single day. You need to kill your ego. You need to be open to feedback. And then as far as trainability goes, you need to 100% be able to express the intent of the instructor through physical or communicative processes at the end of that event. All of these attributes are a little bit wonky because that professional subjectivity comes in there, but I guarantee you there are little things that you can do every single day to make yourself better at every single one. Physical fitness is easy. You can go out and work. Integrity is easy. You can never lie to somebody. You can never put your name at risk. But these attributes we are going to evaluate you on because we look at the holistic person, and these are the types of people that we need on the team.